took the biggest step out of my comfort zone I've ever done, which was start to play American football. I only did it because one of my friends rode on, he started doing it. It was completely foreign, but I was like, you know what? Let's just do it.
How did Heathrow let you actually record videos?
I joined on the graduate scheme for Heathrow Airport, and they told us something week 1. They said, if you want to do something, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So I sat down with one of them. I'm like, listen, if I want to make content, what's the red line? Notice, I didn't say, can I make content?
You have a skydiving license.
The reality is that when a situation like that, you're in a situation like that. When I was learning to get my license, it was like military. It's like, okay, I need to jump out. I need to do this. 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 Yeah.
And going the last level is doing a jump.
Yeah.
From like, it's 2-floor building. You're making a jump.
Yeah.
I had to pray to God like 2 minutes before I took the jump.
There was certain people in the business, and to this day, there are people in the business that have my back. They protect me in the sense that they're willing to push back if people are just being outrageous. But it got to a point where the day that my following tipped above,
before we get started with today's podcast, I have a small favor to ask. 95% of you guys watching have not subscribed yet. In order to help me bring on bigger guests, if you've learned anything from any of my podcast episodes, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Firstly, thank you so much, Mo, for coming, or Mohammed, for coming on today's episode of the Inspired Man podcast.
Thank you, Jatin.
How we met till how we're here, it's completely, I don't know how it happened, but it's happened and here we are. I want to start this podcast off by kind of diving into your journey, your earlier journey, and kind of understanding, were you always this person who you are today, super confident, super motivated to do stuff?
Not at all. So my journey took it came in chapters.
Okay.
And each of those chapters was a journey of self-discovery. There were pivotal moments that completely changed me. But if you rewind 10 years, I'm 26 right now. If you rewind 10 years to who I was at 16, you'd think I'm a completely different person, completely unrecognizable.
Let's go meet that Mo right now.
Okay, so that Mo was more round than he was tall, like a very very chubby little kid. Would do anything he could to not stand out.
Okay.
So he really didn't want to be the center of attention in a way that it's that deep-rooted insecurity. Actually, if anything, all the things that I enjoyed when I was younger, all the things that I found interesting, I'd just bury them. And instead I'd adopt my interests from other people. It's like I'd outsource my personality to whatever was going. Whatever I felt like was popular, whatever I felt like was the thing to do, I would do that. Prime example, football. Didn't care about football, but didn't have the confidence to say I didn't care about football. Instead, I'd pretend. I'd go home, and I say this a lot, but every time I say it, it's like it's crazy. Like I used to actually revise 11 players of Manchester United just in case I used to get asked.
What?
Like I used to go through the list and like try to remember their names, like just in case I ever get like on the spot, like, oh, you support Man United, go on then, show me you're not a fake fan. You know what I mean? And it's like. So I used to really, really do that. I used to pick up the metro when I'm going to school and just read and see what's happening. Like, you know, in that celebrity section, I used to want to know what's happening. And it's like all that just to fit in, just to try and blend in. And then I'd suppress the real truth of who I was. It would come out a little bit at home, but in school, public environment, you weren't seeing any of that.
I relate to that scenario completely because I think we also had a chat a few weeks ago, or I think just around a month ago, and I think every single person in a secondary school, or most of people like me, we all have done that, just doing things to please others, even if we don't like it. So how did that transition from secondary school? Was the college the same or sixth form the same?
College was the same. If anything, it was more toxic in college because everyone's now more like adults. It's I went to an all boys like secondary school, but then the college was actually mixed. So then it was completely different like environment. I saw people who I used to go to secondary school with, and they were there as well. And I'd see how they were like coming out of their shell and being somebody different. But I still had such a deep rooted sense of insecurity that I'd see them do that, but I couldn't do it in myself. And actually, what's funny is like, this is a story I've never told, but there was one particular guy who I used to go to secondary school with, who in sixth form, he started to really embrace himself and really come out of his shell. And back then, I was so jealous that he was able to do that I created a really toxic relationship between us. And it came from a very deep-rooted insecurity within myself. And what's funny is that literally last year, that sort of negative bridge burning type situation remained. I never really fixed it until about 2 years ago. I sent this guy a random message saying, "Hey, bro, I know we never really used to talk, we never really used to do, like, we never used to be thing. And actually, if anything, I did more to harm the relationship between us than to fix it. But I now recognize that came from a really deep-rooted sense of insecurity. I hope you forgive me for anything that I may have caused." And he replied back going, "Yeah, man, don't worry. We were both kids. We're grown up now." Funnily enough, 3 weeks after I sent that message, I was in Turkey in a hotel in the buffet, and I bump into him right there, like randomly. Now he's the doctor. He's doing his own thing. He's got a skydiving license. Literally a couple of weeks later, I crashed at his caravan somewhere in Nottingham with a skydiving license. We got along like a house on fire during that trip. And we realized, like, wow, like we had so much in common. Yeah, at that time, we were both trying to come out of our shell. But he was just a few steps ahead of me. But it was the sort of the insecurity that held me down that really made that relationship so toxic. So yeah, that college phase of my life was again deep-rooted insecurity, trying to get out of my shell but struggling. I discovered the gym, which helped. It helped that a little bit, you know.
Went from the round mode
to a little bit less round, more of a rectangle. But that helped a lot. But still, it was really there. And I know that because the day I left college, that friendship circle that I had, I haven't spoken to almost. I haven't spoken to anyone in that friendship circle to this day. Like, wow. Think about how much I had to fake who I was, to the point where the moment college ended till now, I've never gone back to speak to them. I was only their friends because I was in that environment and I was trying to be their friends. But the moment it ended, no one really cared enough. So like I realized that college phase was again just pure orchestrated, pure external, show the world that you are something, but inside, mad insecurity.
I think there's so many Mo's out there, or Mohammeds out there with the same kind of thing going through right now, of just faking it to be around with certain people.
Yeah. You think they're the cool kids, you want to be part of them, innit?
Yeah. What would you say right now at 26 to that Mo, or that person who's there, who's doing the exact same?
What would I say? I'd say look inside, like look inside yourself. And the one thing that you need to start to realize is that all the things that you're hiding from the world are exactly the things that are going to make you stand out in the future and really make you the best version of yourself in the future. But the sooner you begin to embrace them, the sooner that journey begins. But the choice is yours.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's I'm not gonna force anything, but it's like, all the stuff that you're hiding, all the stuff that you're faking, the sooner you can get over this, the quicker you can create the life that you want.
It's the choices as well.
It's a choice that you have to make, and it's going to be hard. But the sooner you make it, the better your life becomes.
I love that so much. Now, moving on from the unconfident, demotivated, round Mo to having a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, a few years after university, you're become a person who, if any of your friends see you, they'll be like, whoa, this is a complete different guy. When was that thing which kind of was like, you know what, this is the moment where I have to change things completely opposite of what I'm doing?
It's so amazing because I remember that moment so vividly. Like, I remember it so clearly. I in my third year of university, I took a what they call a placement year. So I went to work for a year instead of just studying flat out. And I think that 1 year of work really helped me because there wasn't always the constant pressure of having to study for an exam and stuff like that. I just had a year where I was working, it was a chill environment. So what I did during that year is I actually took the biggest step out of my comfort zone I've ever done, which was start to play American football.
Okay.
Like that was something that was completely outside my comfort zone. I only did it because one of my friends, Rodon, he started doing it. So I was like, all right, well, he's like, why don't you do it? And I'm like, oh man, that's not me. Like that's so far outside of who I believe I am. It was completely foreign, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. I want to get my health in order. I want to start to fix my life up. Let's do that. So I just threw myself into this sport that was so far out of my comfort zone. And I remember when I was there, you can imagine like you're on a pitch, massive 6'4" guys, people who are fast, people who've been training for years, people who are strong. Like it's like you take the best athletes from the whole of university, put them on one pitch, and all of a sudden you have an American football team. And then there was me, like I was like the fat kid. It's like the fat kid. I remember once, like in training, I literally got dragged across the floor by like the two guys. One rode literally 2 6'4" muscular guys. Yeah, they both. I was. It was the drill. It was me versus them two, and literally they pushed me so hard, like I like scraped across the floor. Like for ages. But like what happened was that I all of a sudden joined this thing where I was seeing people who are short, tall, big, small, all showing up to train and become better. And we used to have like the outdoor training sessions, but we also used to have the classroom training sessions. And the classroom training sessions were more about mindset than about the physicality of the sport. And I remember our coach used to tell us all about the growth mindset. He used to teach us about how to become the best version of ourselves, how if you keep training, you will get better. It's about showing up. It's not about anything. And now looking back, it's like those moments, like those seeds that he planted were so powerful, because a few months later, there was this one guy in the game, right? Who a lot of people, everyone respected him. Yeah, he was like a key player in the team. But he would act an absolute fool half the time. Not necessarily in a bad way. He'd just be himself. Yeah. And he'd be funny. He'd be jokes. He'd say stuff that was completely outrageous. But people would respect him. And they'd actually like look up to him. And he was that guy. Yeah, he was that guy. Yeah. But the way he was becoming that guy is he did not care at all what anyone thought about him. He was so self-secure. He was living life on his own terms. And I remember once I sat down with him. And I'm like to him, bro, like, started talking. We just kicked up a conversation. He started to explain to me how he viewed the world, like his perception on the world, his perception on himself, how he fits into the world, how it's so important for him to be this version of himself that's just true to himself. And I remember I was there listening, and I was so mind blown because I had never ever heard anyone talking about the world and themselves in such a way. Like I found it so liberating to see somebody who was so free from judgment, so free from anything, that he was just willing to live life on his own terms. And I remember I stopped. I'm like, listen, bro, where did you learn this stuff? Like, surely there's somewhere you can point me to where you learned this stuff. And he told me there was this book, and the book was called The User Guide to Balance.
Oh, I have read it.
Have you read it?
Yes.
Bro, that book, it's called Mind, Body and Soul. Yeah. The thing is, I started reading that book and I only ever got through the mind chapter, and I went on a complete tangent down personal development.
You know, I haven't completed the book. Really? I've just gone through that as well, because there's so much in that book. Yeah. It's like hard to just read it. Every time I read it, it's like, whoa, there's so much information in this. Like, how do I take it all in? Yeah. I probably know the guy you're talking about. I don't even know, but that's crazy.
So that book just sent me off. It basically started to teach me about how my mind is neuroplastic and how actually my habits are what create my life. And if I can start to take charge of my thoughts and the decisions that I make, then I can start to shape who I am and I can have an impact on this world. And I remember I used to wake up, bro, during that period of my life. I used to meditate every single day. And bro, I was the most liberated, freed person, because I realized that Mohammed, that version of me that I'd been living with all my life, does not have to dictate who it is that I want to be for the rest of my life. And that turning point of seeing somebody so free, and then reading the thing that just told me that I am limitless, like I can do anything that I want, and it explained to me the processes, and you really start to get grounded and you start to meditate and you start to live and be and exist. That was a turning point. That was when I realized I have so much more power to give to this world. I can't settle for that.
Yeah. Whenever I talk with you, whenever I'm with you, I feel like you're a reflection. Like I'm sitting here and there's a mirror and I'm just seeing myself there.
Amazing.
And I think we had a long 3-hour chat in a chicken shop, eating wings out there.
I love
and
it.
Even
Shout
that time,
out Select Chicken.
Shout out Select Chicken. Even when we sat there, I kept telling you like, bloody hell, so many things relate. Like this user thing I didn't even know, but I literally meditated on the alpha waves. Like there was a chapter on meditating on alpha waves. I did that whole thing. Here's a crazy thing. I meditated with that. I meditated using the manifestation method in there. Got 1 million followers on TikTok because of that as well.
Wow. There you go, man.
It's crazy.
It works.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much it works.
Definitely. And that's the reason why I think I love the part where you said how your past can't dictate on who you become in the future. It's always the present as well. And I love that so much. So you completed uni and then you decided to get a job at Heathrow.
Yeah, well, I didn't decide. I was blessed.
That was your
applied.
dream job.
Yeah, that
right?
was my dream job, man.
How did you feel the day when you got the job at Heathrow?
Bro, I remember this so clearly. I remember getting the call on the phone, and the guy he actually tested me before he gave me the job, because he was like, what part of your university degree do you enjoy the most?
Okay.
And he wanted me to make sure that I wasn't like an aerodynamics expert. I didn't want to sit there and do aerodynamics because that's not what they do.
Yeah.
So he tested me. He's like, so just checking what sort of stuff do you enjoy doing? What are you expecting from this job? So I remember I saw where he was coming from and I just answered him exactly what he wanted. And the moment he was like, well, based upon that, I'd like to offer you the job. I was the only one at home at the time. It was in the middle of May, June, July, like June time-ish, I think earlier, maybe April. And I was in my garden, bro, and I started to jump up and down my garden with happiness. Like, I still remember this. Like, it was just me and my phone and I was jumping. Like, I was just jumping in my garden because I was so happy. Like, this was a complete dream that had just become a reality. Like, I knew that what I had now waiting for me was a completely new life. I was going to be working at Heathrow Airport, and I've grown up around Heathrow Airport my whole life. 1991, my parents arrived to this country through Heathrow Airport, and now it's full circle. Like literally those runways that now I look after are exactly the same 2 runways that my parents arrived on.
Yeah.
Literally almost 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, they arrived to this country. And now I get to be the engineer that makes sure that they're working and they're operational. Like, that's amazing to me. That full circle just blew my brains.
It's crazy. And what exactly do you do in your job at Heathrow? Because we see all your content, and I want to get to your content, Jen, and what inspired you to start making content. But like, what do you do as your job at Heathrow?
So my job title is the Aerodrome System Specialist.
Okay.
Which and people always go, oh, it makes people's eyebrows go. Oh.
I'm like, aerodrome something.
Yeah, Aerodrome System Specialist. So the best way to explain it is this: you're walking through a terminal, massive glass windows. You look outside. Everything that you see outside of the window at Heathrow Airport or any airport is called the aerodrome. The aerodrome is where planes operate at an airport. It's the bit that human beings don't get to go unless you work there, yeah? It's the Av Geek's dream come true to be on the aerodrome.
I always want to walk once.
Yeah, exactly. So that area is called the aerodrome. Now, the system specialist, I am the specialist who looks after all of the electrical systems that live in that space. So there's a lot of different systems that exist to make sure that that place can operate. That's including the lighting systems. That's the ones that are controlled up in the control tower. So you have massive touchscreens in the control tower that make the lights work, switch on, switch off, the runway lights, all of that. You have these laser guided machines that actually allow planes to park at the stands as well. So they'll scan a plane and make it all park up. And then you have the electricity that plugs into the airplanes as well. And there's a few other bits and bobs around the airport that are sort of vital to allow the operation to exist. I'm the technical expert for those across the patch at Heathrow Airport, and I help support the teams to make sure they're working, they're operational, and if we can improve them in any way, that we try to implement improvements, any projects that are coming in the future, how we're going to implement those projects so that the operation doesn't get impacted, all of that sort of stuff. I've got sort of my finger in loads of different pies, and I try and support as much as I can to make sure that Heathrow Airport works.
Yeah, I love that so much, and I love how motivated or like you love your job as well. I want to get to that part as well, but I think most people now know you as the airport guy, and they probably know a lot about how airports work because of you as well. Because you on TikTok, if you just write the airport guy, Instagram, you write airport guy, and your profile will pop up. What inspired you to kind of start documenting your airport journey?
So that's a really good question, and it's funny because like actually my airport journey wasn't the goal. My goal was never to document my airport journey. I've never said this, but my goal was always just to motivate people. Because you know that moment that I had that realization of how much power I had within?
Yep.
As part of that realization, I also realized that I love talking to people about that for themselves and helping to inspire them to realize that who they were doesn't dictate who they can be.
Yes.
So I want to reflect that journey that I had within myself to help other people realize that their future can be so much brighter and they don't have to have those shackles on that their past self dictates to them. Yeah. So that's when I started the page called Motivate.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I posted 3 posts on Motivate. They were just like personal development quotes. And I posted one story of me sat up in a tree talking about how your thoughts are the thing that allows you to control your life. And I remember I did 1 story and 3 posts for 6 months, and it just ended. Like,
that's it.
Literally 3 posts and 1 story in 6 months, and I didn't pull through. And it kind of just sat in the background. Like literally, this was June time.
Is it 2020?
Sorry, this is October 2018.
18. Wow.
October 2018 is when I was like, I really want to inspire people. October 2018. Literally till June, I posted nothing. But in June, I actually sat down with one of my aunties. My auntie, she's called Hawrat Milani. She's worked for Google. She's worked for Facebook.
Wow.
She's super, super, super smart. And she sat me down. She's like, "Oh Mo, what do you do? Like, what's your job? What are you up to these days?" So I was like to her, "Oh, I work at Heathrow Airport." And she saw the passion coming through my eyes. And I was showing her pictures and videos of all the stuff that I get up to. And she's like, "Whoa, this is amazing. Why don't you share this stuff?" I was like, "Nah, really? Like,
who cares? Who's gonna watch it?
Who cares? Who's gonna watch it?" She's like, "No, just do it." And the moment she said that, I'm like, "Well, I already have a page. I might as well just post my Heathrow Airport journey on that page." And actually, I can kind of do a bit of both. Like I can re-spark that page and give it life by documenting my journey rather than trying to create motivational content.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's do that then. So I literally, next day, I put up a picture of me on the post, my first ever post. It was like, "Hey, my name is Mohammed Tahir. I'm just going to document my journey through the airport." And the more and more I did it, I used to find things that I found interesting. And I used to put it up there, and I used to write these really long captions. And actually, this is something that I did. I used to drive to and from work, and I never used to find time to write captions. I actually sold my car so that I can start taking the train, because my commutes was where I used to write my captions.
Wow.
So I sold my car knowing that will buy me time
to be able to do more
and
content.
save me money. So all the money that I used to spend on my car, I used to put into Vanguard. Like I used to invest into like index funds and stuff like that. And instead, I used to use the time that now I'm sat on the train to write up my captions and pour my heart out into a caption each day and upload. So my page, the foundations of my page were built on the train journey to and from work.
That's crazy how you actually made time for it. Because most people who have a job will tell you, "I don't have time to do all of this."
Yeah.
And no one does actually. They make time for it, for the things they want to do. And you're a pure example. That's actually sick how you actually done that as well.
Yeah. I calculated, I'm like, I'll save money. I'll be able to have time.
Yeah.
Make what works.
I mean, and the best part was you invested that money.
Yeah.
You're literally making
it was
your
like
money
compounding
every time as well. That's sick. I like that. Talking about doing content creation and when you kind of started blowing up as well, started getting a following. It's not something negative about a job, but I think one great thing you did was creating your personal brand gave you leverage in the sense that even your job will see you as an asset in some sort of way that, okay, this guy is here. Obviously, there's probably a bit of a journey of like how Heathrow probably didn't allow you to record and stuff. So let's talk about that, and then I can come to what I wanted to expand on. How did Heathrow let you actually record videos?
So So when I joined on the graduate scheme
Yeah.
for Heathrow Airport, and they told us something week one. They said, if you want to do something, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. So I was like, okay. Okay. So I asked for some permission, but I didn't actually say I'm going to do this. I said, listen, if I wanted to make stuff on social media, I asked one of the senior managers. And that's the beauty of being on the graduate scheme and leveraging that. I knew all the senior managers. So I sat down with one of them and I'm like, listen, if I want to make content, what's the red lines? Notice, I didn't say, can I make content?
Yeah.
I just said, if I wanted to make content, what's the red lines? So they said, security is a red line. X, Y, Z, all these other things are red lines, don't go near them. But within the confines of all that, there's plenty of stuff that's already available online. You can make content about that. So I started to play to those strengths. I started to play to those advantages. And I used to put stuff, and I used to try and so no one's ever done this before. So there were times where I'd upload something and then someone would say, okay, there's something in the background of that video that you probably don't even know about, but we know about. And somebody who's looking for it might be able to see it. So get rid of that video. And I'll get rid of that video. And there was always a bit of a to and fro, but it was all unmanaged for a long time. Like I would just upload stuff, and only if it got flagged, then I'd remove it. But the thing is, a lot of people would flag stuff that doesn't need to be flagged. So once, one of my friends used to work in the comms team. Okay. So he was the one people would approach saying, oh my God, there's a security breach. Once he received an email from the general public with massive caps lock subject saying security breach Heathrow Airport. Yeah, and they sent it directly to the comms team. And guess what was in there? A link to one of my TikTok videos. Now, this TikTok video was me showing how one of the machines in the baggage system works. Nowhere near security, nowhere anything. It was just a machine that scanned
Is that the one
bags.
Which picked up the bag?
No, it was one back in the day, man. You probably haven't seen it. It was literally a scanner. It was just a scanner in the airport. And then they were like, massive security breach. And he told me that there were lots of people in the comms team that were like, oh my God, security breach. Tell him to take it down. Tell him to take it down. And he's like to them, let's think for a second. Where is the security breach? We have a security intelligence team. They showed the security intelligence team. Security intelligence team was like, no, there's nothing here. There's no security breach. This is all publicly available information. No worries. So there was certain people in the business, and to this day, there are people in the business that have my back. They protect me in the sense that they're willing to push back if people are just being outrageous. But it got to a point where the day that my following tipped above Heathrow Airport's following on socials, so when you add Instagram and TikTok together, I have more followers than they do. That day or during that period is when the PR team was like, okay, we need to put a process in place, because now it's not managed, but you potentially have more say on the internet of the Heathrow Airport brand than we do. So we want to put a PR process, and I was more than happy to talk about that. Actually, if anything, I invited that conversation in, and I got some support from some very senior managers as well on that process. And it included two things. We have the security intelligence. They gave me a list of things, don't talk about these. And then the other side was the PR team said, before you upload anything, send it to us. We'll give you a thumbs up, and then you can upload it. So now I live by that process. So this is stuff I don't talk about. This is the stuff that I need. This is where I need to send it. When I get a thumbs up, I can upload it. So there was always a bit of a back and forth. It started off purely organically. But then when it started to build traction, here's the thing. There was a critical moment. A lot of people wanted to just squish me and be like, just stop him from doing it. We manage all the risks. But what I done is I created a slide deck showing how much value this page is giving to the public. And actually, we are hiring people who never used to know about Heathrow Airport. We got people joining the graduate schemes because they found out about it through the page. And I basically created a whole deck showing the numbers, showing the impact, showing everything. And I showed it to senior management. I'm like, look at the impact these videos are having. You guys think, oh, it's just some silly TikTok stuff. But the reality is we're changing real lives from the local community who are now working here because of this TikTok stuff. So in their mind, they're like, okay, well, we can't just tell him to stop. Actually, we're benefiting from this, but how can we manage it? That's when we started to make the PR process.
That's actually sick how you had to actually kind of present your own business to them to make sure they keep letting you run it as well.
Yeah, literally. And more recently, I've done that, but on a more extreme level. And hopefully over the next few months, we'll see how that plays out.
Okay.
So I went to the top of the chart, and I presented what I do, and I had a proposal attached to that, and we'll see what happens.
That's really nice. I hope that proposal goes well and you get what you're looking for there as well.
Hope so.
But the part where I was going was you love your job
Mm.
and it's amazing. And some people love it. I hate a job.
Yeah.
That's just me. The main reason being is because there's always a way they can replace you.
Mm.
Like you're gone, they're not going to be like, oh my Lord, Mo's gone. But with social media, you creating a leverage, you becoming an asset of the company. Now it's difficult. Now you're a big thing to be just like replace. No one can replace Mo at Heathrow now. So in that sense, it's great. And in that sense, there's some type of learning for people out there to kind of maybe, yes, if you like a job, maybe work or do something in a way, side hustle, I guess I would say. That was your side hustle, to kind of just document your journey or do something on the side to kind of make sure you're becoming an asset. And even, as you said, learning skills or making yourself better, you become an asset to the company as well.
Yeah.
And those are the small things I wanted to just mention in the podcast to people. But now, talking about become, like, you're technically an entrepreneur. If Heathrow wasn't something you decide to do, what else would you be doing? Because you're a really entrepreneurial person.
Yeah.
If you look at it, if I look at you from another perspective.
I do recognize that in myself. Like, I am very entrepreneurial, and actually people at work recognize that as well.
Yeah.
Like one of my senior managers, he literally told me, he's like, Mo, I don't see you being on a payslip for long. He's like,
exactly.
He's like, I don't see you being on a payslip for long. Good. Like, that's the sort of energy I want in my life. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be on a payslip for long. What would I be doing? I'd be using my strengths. I can speak, I can facilitate workshops, and I can inspire people. So what I do is I position myself in a place where I'm facilitating workshops, traveling up and down the country, around the world, to use what I have, my unfair advantages to per se. Yeah. Like, honestly, I live by that. Like, right now I'm doing that. Like, that's where I'm shifting my career towards. It's just that I have Heathrow as an anchor. That means that I can sort of, I can utilize my experience at Heathrow Airport to open up different doors. But had I not have Heathrow Airport, I still have myself. I still have my brain. What I literally do, I'd spend half my time reading and the other half working, teaching what I'm learning.
You have a skydiving license.
Yeah.
You have done is it called a triathlon? Or
Triathlon. I've done 3.
Yeah. You've done 3 triathlon.
Yeah.
Firstly, are you scared of heights, or were you scared of heights when you were young?
No.
You were not?
No.
Okay, that makes sense why you can go 15 or 30,000 feet high in the air and just jump by yourself.
Yeah.
What goes in your mind when you're up there and you're just about to jump?
Bro, it's freedom, bro.
What do you mean it's freedom? I would look down and I would piss my pants even if someone's behind me.
No, bro. It's absolute, like, just, okay. The reality is that when a situation like that, you're in a situation like that, when I was learning to get my license, it was like military. It's like, okay, I need to jump out. I need to do this. 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 So when you're trying to build the habit up initially, so the first 5 to 6, 7 jumps, just like a military in your brain. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to check my altitude. I'm going to pull exactly this time. So you're really making sure that you're doing everything right. But once you get to about 10th or 11th jump, all that stuff has already been cemented. You know what you're doing. You know that you're going to reach back, your parachute's going to be there, you're going to push like that, you're going to open your hands up, you know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to get fun, because at that point you're doing backflips out of the plane, you're just diving out, and then you're when you get there, you're like really, like, you know, turning hard, you're going, just, bro, imagine being Superman. Like, you can just fly anywhere you want while you're falling.
Isn't it?
It's insane. Like, and the thing is, you're watching the clouds come up, like you're falling through the clouds at some points. Like, you see a cloud over there and you put your hands behind your back like that, and now all of a sudden you're aiming towards the cloud and you're flying towards it, and you're able to, like, turn while you're, like, flying. Bro, it's nuts. Like,
it must be crazy but scary at the same time. I'll tell you I went Go Ape.
Yeah.
And Go Ape, the last level is doing a jump from like this building.
Yeah.
Like it's 2-floor building. You're making a jump.
Yeah.
I had to pray to God like 2 minutes before I took the jump. And the instructor was like, you're supposed to jump like this, how you just put your one step out and go.
Yeah.
This is me. I sat down and I just felt
just went limp.
Just limped down. And I'm like, as soon as I fell, due to like gravity and how it works, my stomach and all my like heartbeat went so up, and I'm like, whoa, once I'd done it, it was the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
But if you told me to do that again, I don't think I have the balls to
Really?
do that. Yeah.
Nah, bro,
I just want to know, like, when you jump out of a plane, some people might know this, but when you jump out of a plane, do you feel that, you know, the motion in a roller coaster when the roller coaster goes down and I don't know, you probably don't even feel that because you're not scared of roller coasters as well, I'm assuming.
Nah, I love roller coasters.
There you go. But it's the feeling of like your stomach being so tight and you can't breathe for a bit. Do you get that?
Not really, man. I think
it's free flow. From
it's
there, it's
just
different,
free flow.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you accelerate. Don't get me wrong. You accelerate up until a point where you're not accelerating anymore. But it's not the same because okay, I'd say jumping off that cliff from Go Ape is probably scarier than jumping out of a plane. Because when you're jumping out of a plane, there's no reference as to where the ground is.
Yeah.
You're so high from the ground, you can't see where the ground is. The scariest point for me was actually once as I was falling, I got to a relatively low altitude and I needed to pull my parachute. But before I pulled my parachute, I just spent like 2 seconds looking down at the ground and I could see the ground coming towards me. And that was the moment I was like, what am I doing with my life? like I could see the ground like coming towards me and I'm literally falling through the sky and I'm like, oh, I need to pull my parachute. I need to pull my parachute. But yeah, because there's the reference of the ground is not there. It's just completely different from anything you've ever experienced before, man.
I think I'm definitely going to give it a try because I want to go and do something which I'm scared to do as well. Has there ever been an incident which was dangerous? Not scary, but dangerous for you?
For me?
Yeah. How many times have you?
I've only got my license. I haven't been back since I got it. I've done 18 jumps.
Yeah. But I've just got my license. I've just done 18 jumps casually.
18 jumps is what you need to get your license first time. But now I need to go back there and to do more jumps. But has there been like dangerous times? Yeah, a little bit. So if you open your parachute without being in a good stable position, then your parachute doesn't open up correctly.
Okay.
And then it it twists up. So I've had that once or twice because while I'm opening up my parachute, either my hands, one's a little bit lower, one's a little bit that way. And this is while I was learning, like my instructor would be like, you need to fix up like this, you can't do this. So I've had that a few times. But no, I've fixed it and then I'm good. So
that's mad. And that is dangerous. I mean, scary in itself. We're doing a triathlon, right?
Yeah.
That's if for the people who don't know what triathlon is, if you could explain and then tell us how you build kind of that mindset or that courage to kind of be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this no matter what my body says, but I'm gonna train my mind. And how did you train your mind to do a triathlon?
So a triathlon, for those of you who don't know, you swim, you cycle, then you run, one after the other, all back to back. So the swim, I'll give you the most recent one that I done was called the Olympic Plus distance. So it's the longest distance they offer in the London Triathlon. It's 1.5 kilometers of swimming, followed by 80 kilometers of cycling, followed by 10 kilometers of running, all back to back. So you don't
technically
rest.
Over 100 kilometers.
Huh?
Technically almost 100. No, 91.
91.5 kilometers. Yeah, in total, but 80 cycling, 10. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So I done that as my most recent triathlon. Now I signed up to that knowing I wasn't ready, and that's the thing. You don't sign up when you're ready. You sign up knowing you're not ready, but knowing that you must get ready. So every single triathlon I ever signed up for, I wasn't ready. Like right now, I'm training for a marathon. I'm not ready for a marathon. I've got a marathon coming up in April, but I know I'm not ready for it. But I had signed up saying I will get ready for it.
Yeah.
So when I signed up for my triathlon, that's when I would go swimming. So I actually used to go take swimming classes because I was so bad at swimming. I was so inefficient. I had to go relearn how to swim. So what I used to go and do all the taster sessions at all the different swimming clubs near my house. So I'd do like the taster session here, then I'd go do the taster session there. So
save money at the same time.
I picked up like 4 or 5 different taster sessions, and then I like roughly had a better understanding of the technique that I needed for swimming. So then I'd go to like my local place and I'd just swim. Cycling, I never really used to train cycling. It was more the running I used to concentrate on. I used to just hope that my cycling technique comes from all the other stuff. And then the running bit, honestly, the running is the best way to like build resilience in your mind, because the amount of times you tell yourself I can't do it when you're running,
Yep. The amount of times
is ridiculous. Like you just constantly tell yourself, oh, I can't do it. I'm tired. I can't do it. I'm gonna stop now. I used to lie to myself to get me to run longer distances. So what I used to do, I remember when I first started my running journey, I used to run and then I used to tell myself, okay, when I get to that tree, I'm gonna stop. And then I used to run. And as soon as I passed that tree, I tell myself, I lied. We're going to that tree. And then I just get myself to that tree, and then I'd be like, you think we're gonna stop here, bro? We're going to that one over there. And then literally, I would keep doing that until I would be able to go a little bit further and 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 a little bit further. I've learned, and this is one thing I genuinely pride myself on, is that if I'm running, yes, I might be slow, but I won't stop. And I've just learned how to not stop while running. I will run as slow as it is to walk, but I'll keep the running pace. I'll keep when you see me, I look like I'm running. Even if I'm going slow, I will just keep running. And that's all in the mind. That's all in the mind. You just gotta tell yourself like just one step after the other. Don't think about the 10 kilometers. Think about the one step after the other. Bro, I started my running triathlon for this recent one. When I started the 10 kilometers, I was already getting cramps and I was already knackered. Like I was already shattered and I was just starting a 10 kilometer run. That's an hour of running. And I had just started. I'm like, but you know what, Mo? Just one step after the other. Don't worry about the 9 kilometers you got left. Just get through this one. And once you get through one, you can get through two. Once you get through two, you can get through three. So the more what I do is I minimize the big task. And all I do is I tell myself, just take this next one little bit. And it's the same lie that I used to tell myself about the trees. Yeah. Just get through this one little bit. And then what's one little bit there? I done a half marathon this last Saturday. Bro, I was knackered on Sunday. I was doing it. I was knackered. At about 16 kilometers, I could feel a blister on my foot and I could feel myself just tapping out. And I was like, 16 kilometers. That means I got 5K left. I can do 5K. Let's just get through 1K. And I'd get through 1K. And I'm like, okay, let's just get through this next K. And it just, as long as you just don't stop, just get through the little bits towards the goal. That's how I do it. I don't know how else other people do it, but that's how I lie to myself and do it.
The concept you just spoke about, I think most people can relate to that because when I tried doing a 5 kilometers, first day I was trash. I ran for like 500 meters or even 400 meters and I'm gone.
Dead.
And then I was like, let me just walk and then run again. And then I realized like, what's the point of running and stopping down? Instead, just go at a pace where I can stay consistent and I can keep going and come back. So I ran from all the way from exactly here to, I don't know if you know where Hosenden Hill is.
Of course, that's where that's the ends, bro.
Yes, exactly. So all the way there and then back to here. And I would do that. First week was trash and then I go better.
You just stick to the A40 or canal?
Canal, just the canal route because it's empty, no one's there and just amazing.
Just some crackheads sometimes.
A lot of them. It's always in the morning as well, so there's always some. But I also learned that the same concept is meant to be applied in everything you do. Like especially content creation. For me, TikTok or when people ask me like, Chats, how did you stay so consistent? Or how do you stay consistent? And this is the concept now I tell them is like, I was at my pace. I stayed at a pace where I could be consistent. Most people will jump on content creation or start a business and do everything in one day. And then the next day they die. They're like, I can't do it.
That's me with YouTube. YouTube for me is that.
But I think once you figure out your pace in YouTube and you keep lying to yourself,
just this one,
just this next one, and you never know where you'll be as well. So I think that's really
a good idea.
Yeah. And talking about, this was kind of an analogy, but you love your analogies. That's why I saw from a short in again Bay HQ as well. What's one analogy which you kind of, once you heard it, it's been always with you in your mind and you're like, you know what? This is something so sick when you even think about it or you believe in it.
This is the one for me. This is my favorite. I don't know if it's an analogy or a metaphor or just something to look at life with that completely changes your perception. Okay. And it's this. Imagine if your whole life you saw this thing like this, right? So imagine if you don't know what this is, but all you know is that you're looking at this, okay? Let's say you looked at this for 10 years and you really analyzed this. You really, really got to know this. If somebody asked you what you're looking at, what would you tell them?
A cap.
A cap? What's the shape of the cap?
Circle.
Yeah. So you think you're looking at a circle cap, right? Or maybe you just look like you're just looking at something circular in general, right? It's just something that's a circle. But the thing is that somebody else could be looking at the exact same thing their whole lives. From the side. Now, for 10 years, they're looking at this and they're absolutely certain they're looking at this long rectangular thing, which goes a little bit pointy towards this side and flat on the other side. And for all of their lives, they're certain that this is what they're looking at. Now, when those two people meet and they start talking about something, the chances are they're going to argue and argue and argue and argue. And each of them is going to be like, I'm right and you're wrong. The reality is they're both right. But that's the power of perspective. If you choose to take something and look at it from another person's perspective, you'll realize that you are looking at something that you thought you knew what it was, but the reality is you've only ever been looking at it in one direction. The moment you start to realize that if you change your perspective on things in life, you will begin to understand them in such more complete way. That's when you'll learn that everything that I thought was true has a massive question mark on it. And actually you'll be in pursuit of seeking different perspectives in life, because then you know that by the end of it, you'll have a more complete understanding of the things you're looking at.
That is going to be the analogy of this podcast forever. You know why? Because whenever people ask me why, the reason behind why I do these conversations is to expand my perspective in life.
Yeah.
And so that, I don't know how it came out from your mouth just for that one, but it was so nice. And I think this analogy will probably relate with many people. And I will talk about this analogy in the concept of like, sometimes you can't explain certain things you want to do today to your parents, from my general Asian community, because the perspective in life has just been in one direction.
Yeah.
And if you can see something from the other direction, you're right as well. So go take a chance in that as well. It's not wrong, but you sometimes have to kind of not just follow the crowd and kind of do the same thing as everyone else, because you will not get anywhere different than them if you just follow that one direction, or 100%. Just one, if you just have that one perspective in life.
100%.
That was a lovely one.
Thank you, man.
That's going to be a short. That's going to be a main good short as well. I want to see if there is something different on here, which I haven't included. I think the next bit was, have you got your future planned, or you're just going with the flow?
I'm just going with the flow, man.
Going with the flow.
But not really. I'm going with the flow, but not really.
Explain.
I've got my compass out. And I kind of know the direction that I want to go in. But I'm open for ideas. Meaning that I know what I don't want to be. So I know what I want to put behind me. But I don't know enough about what exists out there to know where I want to go. I have a rough idea of the things that I think would be pretty cool. But I'm open to because that just keeps evolving. That vision for me of where I want to be keeps evolving. Like right now, my vision for what the future could look like, which I think is pretty cool, which I would love to do, is I know this. I know that over the next 10 to 15, 20 years, the way that our interaction as a human race, as a human race, is that right? Yeah, as a human race, our interaction with things that fly is going to evolve so rapidly over the next 15, 20 years. It's going to completely change the way that we live our lives. We're going to have flying taxis. We're going to have jetpacks. We're going to have drones delivering stuff. The skies are transforming as we speak. It's not going to be as simple as seeing a little plane flying around. That's what we're getting used to. The next chapter of aviation is completely different. Completely. I would love to be the person that educates the world about that and becomes the bridge between this new future technology of things that fly and the rest of the world. And I would love to be the key person of influence in that space. But what opportunities come out from that, I have no idea. I just know that I find that stuff pretty cool. I find that stuff pretty fascinating. And if I spend enough time understanding it, then I have the skills to be able to show the world that. And I think matching my personality, matching my sort of vision for what I'd want, I think there's enough opportunity to be entrepreneurship in there, to make money. That is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one step in that direction. But what comes out of that, I don't know.
Yep.
But I know that that's something broad enough that I can take a step towards. But then when I take a step towards that, I might see it in more granular detail and realize that, oh, this little part of it's actually the bit I really want. And then I take a step towards that. And then I'm like, okay, that's great. But actually, I've realized that there's a level up on this. Yes. I can aim for this rather than aiming for this. But I'm never going to be able to get to that unless I take a step towards this. So take a step to this, and then you'll realize there's this. And once you realize there's this, you realize there's that. And once I realize there's that, I realize I'm in a whole new world. But had I not taken this step, I would have never got to that.
Your answer is really smart because you're young, you're 26 years old.
Yeah.
And some people who are like 20 years old, they'll just say, I want to get to this place. But the way you answered is really nice. It's like you have a direction, but you don't know where it will lead to. Like in the sense that it could be way outside what you have imagined right now. Because things change in like 6 months, 1 year. And with social media, the opportunities you get. And there was this amazing thing you told me is like you're 100 times or million times leveraging yourself by using social media. Because if you have 1 million followers, one message you send out is going to 1 million people. So that's by 1 million times I have just sent my message to like 1 million people, which means now 1 million people know me. And if there is an opportunity from that one person, that will come to me as well.
Exactly.
So that's amazing. But
yeah,
another thing before we end the podcast was talking about investing, which I kind of wanted to dive by, completely forgot. How come you learned investing? Because I think, when did you start investing in index funds?
When I got my job at Heathrow, so almost 5 years, 4.5 years ago now.
Oh wow, that's really smart. Because I think not most people don't even know about investing in index funds and knowing these things of like how can you invest and stuff like that. Did you just watch YouTube videos and learn it, or?
Actually, I owe a lot of my financial insight to my brother-in-law. So my brother-in-law, at the age of 18, he gave me a book. So he saw me reading a book about, I think it was 18. I can't remember. I was like between 18 and 20 probably. And he saw me reading a book all about like, mindfulness and like spiritual enlightenment. And he was like, he giggled, he laughed. He was like, listen, if you want to read a book, read the proper book. And he gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
And he said that if you have to work a day in your life, at my age, he was 40 at the time. He said, if you have to work a day in your life when you're 40, you've messed up. And he gave me this book. And I remember reading this book and my brain was like, ooh, like, I've been living a lie. Like, I never want to work ever again. I don't want to get in the rat race. Like, I was like, that's it. I'm never, ever, ever. Like, I never want to be an employee. I want to retire by the time I'm 35. I want to be on the road to financial freedom. I want to create systems. It just unlocked a whole new side of life. I'm like, wow, like there are people living like this. So yeah, financial literacy was, a lot of it was like a tap on the shoulder from my brother, because he went through the system. He went and got a PhD, but he's like, listen, now I got to go to work. If I don't go to work, I don't get paid. Don't make the same mistakes that I went through. You've got time on your side. Then I read another book called, from Tony Robbins, Money Mastery the Game, or something. I think it's called Money Mastery the Game. That's when he started talking about index funds. And I don't even know why I picked up that book. I just did. And he started talking about index funds and how it's so corrupt to go through like a financial manager, and how their percentages they take add up over time, and they'll eat away at all of your gains. So don't go through that. Go to index funds, find something that's got low financial fees, and then go with them. And that's when I spoke to my brother-in-law about it. He said that there's this company called Vanguard, which is the best in the UK. Go with them. They've got the lowest fees. Actually, here's how you should set up your bonds and shares. And then I just was like, you know what? I'm going to set up a direct debit before the money's even in my account. It's going to go out without me even seeing it. I'm just gonna let that flow. I'm gonna let that bubble away in the background. Again, at my own pace. I looked at how much money I was getting paid from Heathrow, and I was like, this chunk, this is for future me.
Yeah.
I don't even think about that at the moment. Like, that money goes out without me even seeing it. Straight in. Direct debit. And that's the best way to do it, by the way. Direct debit.
Yep.
But I've always thought about these financial things ever since I was probably about, when I first worked on my placement year, I invested in crypto.
Okay.
So I took about 3-4K from my savings at the time, and I put it all into crypto. At that time, Bitcoin was about 2.5-3K. Yeah. So
I imagine you put all of
it was early. I mean, but no, I diversified my portfolio, so it wasn't all in Bitcoin. Otherwise, I would have done quite well recently. But yeah, it goes and it flows. My point is that, and also I've taken money and I put it towards courses like housing, how to get into property. I paid almost £1,000 for a property course. I've paid £3,000 for a communications course. I've paid £2,000 for a coach. I've paid money towards YouTube courses. What I realized is that investing isn't financial only.
Yes.
I started to learn how to put money where my mouth is for investing in myself. That's when I started taking my journey seriously. Like my content creation journey, I only started taking seriously when I put money where my mouth is and joined Ali Abdal's part-time YouTuber Academy. I joined cohort 1.
You were cohort 1?
I was cohort 1. He's doing his last cohort now as well. I joined cohort 1. That was a complete punt on my future. I was like, I want to be something. I want to do something that isn't the ordinary path. So I just took that money and I was like, what's it doing inside my bank account? Let me do something with my life. And I learned that if you really want to succeed, you need to learn to put your money where your mouth is, investing in yourself, because that's when you start taking yourself seriously.
Yep.
So financial investments, my brother will help me out with that. But I don't tell, typically it's the first time I've ever said how much I invested in myself from courses perspective. But I've done courses that didn't really give me much value, but it gave me the self-confidence that, I'm doing this for myself. If it works or if it doesn't work, I'm doing this for myself. I'm believing in myself, and that means a lot.
Yep. I like that so much. And the best investment you can make in the world is in yourself.
That's such a cliche statement, but it's so true.
It's so damn true. And people don't understand why you should. Because think about it, if you don't invest in yourself, you won't know what you're doing and you will eventually fail. Like, even if you get lucky and you make $1 million or $2 million, if you are not educated enough, you will lose all of that as well. So I think I like that so much. Now, before we end the podcast, 2 things. Who gave you these Harry Potter glasses?
Harry Potter glasses? These? Why? What did you say? What are you asking?
They make it, literally, I can see you and I feel like I'm looking at a Harry Potter character.
Really? So actually, I bought these glasses from Syria for £12.50.
Oh, wow.
I went to visit my granddad in hospital.
Okay.
And while I was there, I went to the local opticians. And I picked up these glasses. I was like, I like these glasses. How much are they? The guy's like, you want them to be like prescription stuff? I'm like, yeah. So he does the maths, £12.50. I was like, can I have a couple, please? So I made like 2 or 3 glasses when I was there and I done them. But I think now I can't get laser eye surgery anymore.
Why can't you?
Because I'll lose the brand. Like,
oh my Lord. I actually thought about getting laser eye surgery, but when I take it out, I look so trash. So I'm like,
people won't recognize me without my glasses on. And it's not even about people recognizing me. It's like, I won't recognize me. It's like, I look in the mirror and like people are like to me, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. But no, I like my glasses.
I like them too. Yeah. It suits on your face as well.
Yeah.
But the last question was, of all the books you have read out there, 3 self-improvement books you think people should read before they die?
Not even before they die, man. As soon as possible. Like, as soon as possible. The 3 that I always go to, because these were the 3 that really made the most fundamental shifts in me. And the way I like to break it down is your relationship with yourself, the relationship with other people, and your relationship with money. Those are the 3 things that I think are really important. So the first one, relationship with yourself, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That talks all about understanding your ego, understanding your past traumas, understanding the things that you believe are you, but the reality of which they're not genuinely you. And if you can start to unshackle that relationship with you and your ego, you can start to live a much more peaceful, mindful life. The other one is How to Win Friends and Influence People as the second book. That book is how do you interact with the world in a way that you can develop win-win situations for everyone around you. How do you articulate yourself and carry yourself in this world so that every situation you find yourself in, you are making the most out of it from an opportunities perspective, from a friendships perspective, just everything. Everything you're going to do in your life, you're going to have other human beings. How can we make the most of that? And the last one, I've already mentioned this book, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's the beginner's guide to how to think about money in a different way. Written in a very simple way, talks about the difference between an asset and a liability, talks about the difference between, passive income,
Active
cash
income,
flow,
yeah.
the cash flow quadrant, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. It just gives you a framework that you can look at the world with and start to make some more smart financial decisions and just completely change the way in which you perceive your future from a financial perspective. So relationship with yourself, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Relationship with others is Dale Carnegie, How to Influence and Influence People. And the last one is the relationship with money, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Man, I have no idea how you can actually remember you gave a solid summary of those books, because it gave me I had kind of like a rewind of those books as well. But if someone asks me on the spot, what 3 top books, and then I have to give a summary about that, that's not happening. But you gave a solid summary, and the way he's described each and every book, they're basically like that. Especially Rich Dad Poor Dad, you described it really well, and how to win and influence people. I think I'm gonna have to definitely read The Power of Now, because I have been recommended that by many people. But I think it's time to read it.
Life changing. Also, I'd say read it. Listening to it is great, but read it.
And read on a physical book.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the only reason I can remember it is because, number one, I'm dyslexic and I take a long time to read books.
Yes.
So when I read it. Like, I have to spend time to digest all these ideas and to map them out. So that's the only way I can remember them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mohammed, Moti.
Thank you.
Or I'll call you Moti from social media. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
I appreciate you having me.
It was amazing having a chat with you.
Always.
And guys, if you haven't seen The Airport Guy, you're missing about everything Heathrow related and what amazing content he puts out, especially about motivation. You will watch this video and be like, yep, I need to get my ass up and start doing stuff right now. So I will leave all the social media links to his TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube in the description box below. And if you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, it will be in the show notes. Thank you for joining once again.
Thank you, Jasin. Appreciate it. Thank you.